God, Woken. Dallas told me about you. You must be as hard as diamonds, and twice as bright, to have come so far. Your divine welcomes you.
The divine you thought dead lords over the chamber from a granite throne. He moves to speak, but it's Wiedemann's voice that next pierces the air.
What a twist.
Lucian frowns at Wiedemann, then bestows a benevolent smile upon you. All that you know of him flashes across the panorama of your mind.
I underestimated you, Godwoken. You have proven to be a formidable foe. You have my respect.
Respect? Indeed.
Lucian's gaze rests upon you and goes through you. He takes your measure entirely.
Lucian, we should tell the Godwoken the truth.
Yes, I agree. It is time we dropped our masks.
Dallas nods, then reaches for the sides of her head. Where there was one face, suddenly there are four. She takes off the mask of the shapeshifter. A skull is revealed, bejeweled and ancient as the void.
I am eternal.
Aren't they just full of surprises?
Fear not, Godwoken. Dallas is on the side of all that is good. She is helping me rid Rivellon of the influence of the Source. Listen to her.
I shall tell you the tale as I told it to Lucian. Long ago, the scholar Fane discovered that the veil between the world and the void was made of Source. Our 7 lords desired this power.
Of course.
Silence, slave. Our king forbade the 7 to reach for this power, but they didn't listen. Instead, they rebelled and sent the king and his people into the void.
With the Source they stole from the Veil. The 7 created the races so they would have worshippers.
Really? I'm shocked.
Shut your mouth, Godwoken. I tell you the truth.
He hesitates, then he swallows his pride.
Here is the truth. I have killed thousands, perhaps millions, for the greater good. But I made a mistake. It was my use of death fog that opened the door to the God King. It upset the Veil and took the 7 by surprise. My one mistake meant all those sacrifices were for naught. Those sacrifices must have meaning. They must stop the void once and for all.
I seek vengeance against the king and against the 7.
There is more, but she hesitates to share it. Then she decides that she must.
I was a child when the God King tore my family apart. I was purged of Source and left to rot in a putrid tomb. A child. It was hell. A hell I suffered for the sins of my father. He was the one that betrayed the God King. He was the one that told the 7 the secrets of the Veil. The cruel joke of it all is that the same tomb that housed my tortured body is what sheltered me from the void. Few Eternals escaped that fate. Myself, my mother, and my father, the scholar Fane. But now I finally have revenge. Revenge on the 7 and the God King. Revenge for what they took from me. My life. My people. My mother!
The hammer's voice falters and her coolness vanishes. Every crack and rasp betrays her grief. But her next words burn not with sadness, but anger.
He never even looked for me. He never even looked for her!
Dallas, control yourself. Our purpose transcends your personal wounds.
Yes. You are right.
Dallas's reasons weren't mine to question. All that ever mattered to me was peace. Peace for Rivellon. Peace for me, whatever the means. And now, we are on the precipice.
She sacrificed herself for the betterment of Rivellon. She didn't do it willingly, mind you. Curiosity led her to the tomb. My hunger for source took care of the rest. I presume her bones remained there. And then I took her place. Face rippers are such marvels, aren't they? It didn't take long to realize that Lucian was the key to my vengeance, and I was the key to the salvation of Rivellon.
While Dallas sought the Aetherin, I started draining the gods of their source.
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
One more word from you, and I shall use the leash.
I had to hide from the gods. So I had the walls of this crypt equipped with tenebrium and protections put in place. It worked. Everyone, even the gods, thought me dead. As divine, I was created, empowered to stop the void. I was the avatar of the Seven, their strength and their weakness. My bond to them allowed me to drain them of their source.
Maggot! I am no slave.
With a flick of her wrist, Dallas sends a jolt through Brachus's body. He writhes in pain.
Don't worry, he's well under control. He has made a fine servant. Isn't that right? Ingrate. I used him to find the Aetherin. When we're done, I'll release him from his duty and free him from his pain. Until then...
Dallas punctuates her statement with another wrist flip. Brachus shudders, but his lips remain curled in a self-satisfied grimace.
Yes, in a sense. When the death fog was unleashed, many elves died. With fewer elves to worship him, Tias and Dilius weakened. This gave the God King his first real foothold back in the world. To strengthen himself, he sent his Voidwoken, the remnants of my people, to hunt down the sorcerers seeking to reclaim their source.
The Voidwoken. Disgusting things. They ravaged the land they touched and infected the air they breathed. They were also an incredible stroke of luck. You see, blaming the sorcerers for Voidwoken made them easier to capture.
The Aetherin now contains almost all of the source the Seven stole. Soon, we will be able to heal the Veil.
The void shall be banished, and I, Lucian the Divine, shall return from the dead. A false divine, of course. I shall have no power, but the world will not know this. I shall demand peace, and we shall have it.
The plan is almost complete.
We have made so many sacrifices, Godwoken. All of us. Of ourselves and those we love. One last sacrifice is required. For the future of Rivellon, you must surrender your source.
Decide. Be the true hero and give up your source, or be forced to submit. Like a coward. Like a slave.
There is no other way. The source of the world is required to close the veil. All of the source. We only lack yours.
As I say, one last sacrifice is required. Yours. We already had more than enough Godwoken.
Another sacrifice I was forced to make. Those beautiful people. I was as kind as I could be. I promise you that. Alexander was God-woken. Once, years ago, I should have killed Damien, but instead took him as my son. Quite the mistake. Now, I was forced to kill Alexander, my blood. But once more, I could not.
The task fell to me.
And me.
Good. You understand.
The world shall not know this. I shall return from the grave, a divine without power, yet all who desire power shall fear me. I shall carry the secret of my lack of divinity. Peace shall reign.
Then let us proceed. Show some responsibility. Surrender your source.
You'll be a hero. Everyone will know of the sacrifice you'll make. Your name will be synonymous with the survival of Rivellon. Good.
Yes, very good.
She raises what looks like a leash. A chuckle emerges from beneath Vriedemann's hood. The chuckle becomes a guffaw, booming and hateful. Dallis flicks her wrist, and nothing happens.
Oh, Dallas. Sweet, simple Dallas.
How? What? The leash is cut!
A bright observation from a bilious imbecile. You know people often become sloppy when they're close to achieving their dream. You left the leashing wand next to me, you stupid maggot. So accustomed had you become to me, pretending to be your slave.
Kill him.
Do shut up, you tedious buffoon, and don't look so surprised. As if I would allow a bone bag to enslave me. Me! Yes, I am the one true king of the Source. He who shall be God of the Source. It is time for my divinity! Or did you really think I'd play slavishly along with your ridiculous scheme, Dallas? Yes, I played my part of the servile stooge. But know this. It was only about the power of divinity.
Kill him now.
Too late, you moldering, blight-stained pigs. Grant me power, my ally. God King, I call on you! You would interrupt Brachus Rex. You would interrupt the Source King! You shall redefine suffering.
God-woken. Dallis told me about your divine...
The divine you thought...
What a twit.
Lucian frowned.
I underestimate.
Respect?
Lucian's gaze.
Lucian.
Yes.
Dallis nods. A skull is...
I am.
Aren't they just full of...
Fear not, God.
I shall tell you long ago.
Of course.
Silence, our king forbade.
With the source they stole from the Veil.
Really?
Shut your mouth, Godwoken. I tell you the truth.
He hesitates. Then he swallows...
Here, my one.
I seek vengeance.
There is more.
I was a child. It was hell. The crude. My father. But now
The hammer's voice...
He never even...
Dallis, control you.
Yes.
Dallas's reasons weren't mine to question. All that ever mattered to me...
She sacrificed. She didn't do it. And then I took her.
While Dallis saw...
Slurps.
One more word from...
I had to hide. As divine, I was created. Empowered to stop the void.
Maggot.
With a flick of her wrist,
Don't worry.
Dallis punctuates...
Yes, it is. To strengthen him.
The Voidwoken. You see,
The Eterra now can...
the void shall be a false divine.
The plan is almost
We have made so many...
Decide.
There is no other... We only lack yours.
As I say, one last we already have
Another sacrifice. Alexander.
the task for
And me.
good.
The world shall not know this. I shall return from the grave.
Then let us show some respect.
You'll be a hero. Everyone will know of the Good.
Yes.
She raises what...
How?
A bright observe. You left the...
Kill him.
Do shut up, you teen. Yes. Or did you really think it was only about...
Kill him now.
Too late, you mouldering... You dare interrupt Brachus Rex. How novel. Who are you to challenge the Source King? Ha! You were the fetid dirt on my boot. You are nothing at all. I am the Source King. I shall rule. The God King hears my call. He sends a companion worthy of my power. Come to your father. Come to the Source King.
Rex, the Source King of Legend, lies dead once more, perhaps even for good. Dallis, badly weakened, looks to you.
The future of all that is depends on you, and you alone.
You think back on your journey here, on all that you have seen and done. You think of the Magisters, and the sorcerers they hunted, and of the good and the evil on both sides. You think of how the Eternals came as Voidwoken to reclaim their stolen world. You look at the source around you. The power is immense. Divinity at your fingertips. You think of what you could do with such power. The rights you'd wrong, the wars you'd win. You marvel at your journey and how it has changed you. You think of those you left behind, and of those you met along the way, who stood by you or against you. It's time to choose your fate, and the fate of all you hold dear. What shall it be? Shall you be divine? After all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Aetheran lies in front of you. Divinity is yours to take, or to sacrifice. What you do next decides your own fate, and the future of the world. What shall you do with Divinity?
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. A new divine rose, a true heir to the Seven, more powerful than ever, and united Rivellon in its battle against the Void. All across the realm, she was loved, worshipped, and adored. Humans, lizards, elves, and dwarves all rallied to her banner. The Great Allegiance stood once more, but the war continued. From the depths of the Void, the God King still sought to return. As for me, I was freed of the God King's terrible tyranny. I avoided an eternity of pain and suffering. Now I fight for the other side. Now, I fight for the divine.
Well, well. Look what the cat dragged in. A god, no less. And me in no state to shake hands. Divinity suits you. Though I know of one it might have suited even better.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask. From here she looks almost angelic.
Well, here we are again. You, me, and the ship I've saved from ruin for your personal benefit. I'd say you owe me, but why state the obvious? Let an eye fool, Your Holiness. I expect it's the last we'll see of each other for some time.
She turns to you, arms crossed, and grins.
Look at you. Magnificent. Actually, I've never looked better, except for one small thing.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it, but instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. I sacrificed much. I'd give even more to see you become exactly what you've become. Soon, I'd like to have a little chat about something you can do for me. But I believe that can wait. Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, I don't know. Around and about. Treat myself to some mead, a level 300. I'd say we've earned it. And when the time comes, I'll come find you, Your Holiness.
The flaming hatchling bounces and cheeps out of sheer excitement.
Mummy! Mummy! Looky, looky! At me!
It takes you a moment to realize the egg you've been carrying has hatched at long last. The chick trills contentedly and flaps its tiny feathers in recognition of its proud parent. It seems you've got a new mouth to feed.
Mummy!
Beast Spirit smiles as you approach and begins to sing a tune you think vaguely familiar.
Here the wild beast just sails on the ocean. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Off on the yawn you hear the commotion. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Your cupboard can't hide you, nor can your berth. His daggers don't care about the gold that you're worth. He'll bury your bones neath a mountain of earth. He's docked in the bay and coming your way.
He pauses, then continues to hum, all the while working his ghostly whiskers.
Well, well, Quakers. Look who finally graced us with their presence. I suppose some thanks are in order. What? No, you should be thanking me. I just saved the world from the Great Acorn. You're welcome, by the way. Honestly, Quirkus, some creatures have no sense of perspective.
A huge grin slowly spreads across the squirrel's small face.
Of course, had you not stopped this God King and his lackeys, there would have been very little left for me to save.
The cat moves forward, twisting around your legs and filling the air with the sound of dry, dusty purring.
Ah, Quackers! Please, have a little decorum.
Quercus arches his back, almost dislodging Selora, who just smiles.
This battle is won, my friend, but we still have a war to fight. We've undone the Great Acorn, but the Knights of Dre are still out there. They summoned the Great Acorn once. They will be able to summon it again. We have to destroy their order, once and for all. That is the future Quercus and I have ahead of us. We no longer need a shield, but we are very happy to have a friend. The honor is all mine. I pray we will not need to call on you, but I am grateful for the offer. I never thought I would be proud to have befriended a giant, but there is no one Ow! Crackers! There is no one that we would rather have walked this world with. I do not know what comes next for you, but you will always have a friend in the forest. Come, Quercus. We must Oh, I think you have something in your eye, my friend.
The cat curls up and snuggles into his squirrel friend, who quietly sits and sniffs on the deck.
Well, if it isn't the new Divine gracing me with her presence. How honored I am. That is the question, isn't it? How does one top the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived? I might have the answer to that. Tell me, have you ever heard of Gustavgen? No, of course you wouldn't. It's a written language, unreadable to most, but myself naturally. It comes from a mysterious race from another world. Beings that feed on minds. I intend to seek them out. This Gustavgen seems to guard portals to their realm. Once I've uncovered one, well, why settle for being the greatest mind in just one world, when there's another for the taking?
Amazing I'm still here. That we're still here. That Lucian... Well, that relationship always was complicated, wasn't it? You're so much like him. My instincts tell me to kneel to the new Divine. I've done so before, after all. But I can't drive myself to do it again.
Gareth beams. For the first time, he is his own man. Yet his enthusiasm is not a man's, but a child's.
A friend, yes. That I know how to be.
For a moment, his mind wanders to memories of friends and enemies, of malady and magisters, of demons and divinity. He is then in the present once more and smiles at you.
Friends. I find a way to fit. I wasn't just content to lurk in Lucian's shadow. I was his shadow. Now I stand in the sun as my own man. I just don't know who that man is. And so I find out. My goal is to have a goal, if that makes sense at all. And if it doesn't, well, that's all I've got.
A slight grin crosses the spirit's face. Whether her smile is sincere or not, you can't be sure.
I see great potential in our new divinity. I don't expect to be disappointed.
Losa winks and curtsies in playful reverence. Her spectral...
You're the new Divine. That's so cool. What's it like? Really? Neat. I'd start with dessert if I were you. There's also the matter of my payment for all the stuff I've done for you. That'll be...
He taps his fingers and mouths silently while he counts, until he arrives at an acceptable figure.
1,300,000 dozen and 50 teen gold pieces. Now pay up. Oh yeah? What's that?
Han ponders your suggestion for all of a second.
You got it. But you better believe the bill for that will be a doozy. Now let's see. A dwarf, a demon and a druid walk into a pub.
I've never been fond of what the Divine stands for, but I must say, it's rather exciting to say I've been up close and personal with one. Reform my ways? How adorable. No, I'm afraid I cannot escape who I am and what I've done.
Her eyes flick down to your mouth. She smiles coyly, then slinks forward to kiss you. Her mouth meets yours and devours you with predatory abandon. Somewhere in the recesses of your mind, you think you hear her voice sigh, "Mine." But then the kiss ends.
Something to remember me by, darling. Who knows? A nice cottage someplace quiet for Mahalia and I. A roaring fire and a feather bed. Maybe. Maybe. But a girl needs some fun, doesn't she?
I suppose it's time for me to explore a new form of eternity.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again. I will always be an ally to those that carry swords, to those whose blood is of the heroes of old, and so, as always, I am at the ready. Consider me to be a gift from Malady. My wood was splintered, but my spirit intact. It was a great feat, but given her skill, not a surprising one. I feel better than new.
There's nothing interesting down there. The future lies above, not below.
Shall we sail?
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. The sails flutter in the wind, just as they always will. And yet, something is different. You are different. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. You speak the command to the Lady Vengeance, and another chapter begins. War raged on. Arx remained the center of power as the races united behind the Divine. But the Voidwoken attacks continued as they did elsewhere. Arx would see many more long years of war. Particularly useful against the God King. The Empire used the war to expand its territory. With Justinia dead, the Dwarven Kingdom descended into chaos. But although they did not join the Divine Alliance, many joined the fight against the Void, and did their people great honor in battle and in death. With Lucian gone, the Elves reluctantly rejoined the Divine Alliance. Their place in the war on the Void would entirely depend on the integrity of the new Divine. And here and there, across the world, what was left of the Black Ring fought on. The island of Fort Joy remained a sorcerer's paradise, a place of exile for those whose sorcery threatened to bring in the Void. For their well-being, its residents depended entirely on the benevolence of the new Divine. Reaper's Coast struggled on. The farms and the fisheries fought to feed the people against the Voidwoken blight. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood teetered on the edge of starvation until the night the Voidwoken came from the sea. All were killed. This did, however, put an end to the famine. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Arks battled on. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with ongoing war, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han grew up a warrior and became one of the Alliance's greatest generals. But even he could not win the war. Almira and Mihaili settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With a new divine at the helm, Malady had a powerful ally, but she was in no hurry to call in her favor. After all, it might be the last thing she ever did. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. Jehan the Demon Hunter never stopped hunting for demons. Sahala sought to strengthen the Elven alliance with the new divine. Her powers of sight proved useful in the ongoing war against the Void, but she could never be sure that the new divine trusted her. Tova, her mother, was Sahala's most trusted warrior. And then there was you. For how much of this do you take credit or blame? And what kind of divine were you as the world battled on? Did you show mercy or strength? Did you sacrifice others as Lucian had done? Did you regret becoming divine? Should you have given your soul and sealed the veil? Only you know the truth. You and one other. For the God King still calls your name. Do you answer? Only you know if you atone for your sins.
Come to me, the night is dark. Come to me, the night is long. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Come to me, the night is dark. Come to me, the night is long. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Sway with me, we'll make them scream. Dance with me, we'll make them bleed. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me.